Welcome to Femmes Into Play. We're going to talk a little bit today about conspiracy theories and paranormal and see how we compare and contrast on this topic. And I was hoping that Sasha might actually start today because I know you said, do you want me to start, Sasha, or do you want to start?
Well, what types of conspiracy theories, like what's the precedent here?
Okay.
Kind of what are you thinking?
Okay, I'll build it. Let me get the SI out here a little bit. So we talked about this a little bit a while ago, and part of my problem is I just kind of remember the end that I've locked in, but I remember the paranormal came up. And I remember everyone at least was kind of at least into paranormal stories.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Those are fun.
Okay, yeah, I remember the three of you were into paranormal stories. I don't remember the exact thing, but in a kind of grander scope, back whenever, I mentioned this in the recent SI lab that I was on, but back when Bob Lazar was typed, he is an INTP, he's consume, sleep, blast, double feminine, I believe. And on SI lab, we were kind of thinking he's a 3. What do you guys think? He kind of feels like he has a box. Anyway.
I honestly don't remember who he is. Isn't that the worst? I cannot picture him in my head.
He looks like Stephen King. Like, I bet you they're type twins.
Yeah. Holy shit, he does.
Yeah.
He's like an alien guy. He saw alien, or he saw a spacecraft, whatever. I'm totally butchering the sensory, but he saw spacecraft at Area 51 and nobody believed him. Is that about right, Julie?
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't remember much about him besides, he's super into aliens and putting it out into the world. And back then, Dave used to always say, he used to bring up a lot, like, does this person have an Illuminati amount of NI? And I didn't really try to type Bob Lazar, but when they started talking about him, I was like, Illuminati amount of NI, and I was very surprised. I'm like, oh, he's an INTP. Oh, and a double feminine one. Like, I was just very surprised because all of that stuff has been very outside of my scope. Like, I will get into debates with people about it, and I can have fun if people have a lot of knowledge. Like, I have a friend who I believe is, like, double masculine, play last ISTP, or somewhere around there, maybe INFJ, and, one, and he, like, just has all this information about the pyramids and how they were built, and he will just go into, like, but this is why humans back then could not have built the pyramids. And I'll get into debates like that, but generally for me, I believe that the world is kind of what you see, and beyond that too, I believe in probabilities, that it's like, okay, aliens could have visited us, but I believe that the likelihood that we don't know about it if they visited us thousands of years seems highly unlikely to me, but not completely. Like, there is always room for it, but since there is no proof on it, I will just go on believing what is most likely and act from there. And I was just wondering if this could relate to socials. And I mean, I have follow-up questions relating to this too, but I wanted to just get your guys' first thoughts on conspiracy theories and or just paranormal or the weird, the unknown, and what you think about it.
So I guess it's kind of, you have to kind of think what makes a conspiracy theory, or what makes, because it's stories, it's theories, if you want to get into the nitty gritty, it's just things that don't have a lot of sensory backup. So a lot of the things we say on the show, well, what about this? What about this? They're theories with not a lot. In fact, objective personality doesn't have the sensory. So I guess, like I said, this is a conspiracy theory we're all kind of believing in. But it's not a conspiracy theory. I don't think it's, as far as I think what the Urban Dictionary calls it, probably is the prospiracy theory, because it's trying to create, better lives for people in general, instead of, keeping things nefariously from from the public, or things like that.
I'm sorry, prospiracy? I don't know this word. What does this mean?
It's like an Urban Dictionary word. Yeah. I said to my husband the other day, I'm like, well, if there's conspiracy, wouldn't there be prospiracy? And so I looked it up, looked it up, and of course somebody already thought of that and put it in the Urban Dictionary. So now it's kind of referred to as kind of agendas done secretly by people to make life better. But I guess then you would have to think maybe a conspiracy theory, a conspiracy is something that a group of people or someone is keeping from the public, basically, right? To do something nefarious, that can negatively impact society. So a conspiracy theory to say that, well, there's actually aliens and the government's keeping that from us, or whatever, X-Files types of things, those are really fun. They're really fun to hear. There's no proof either way. So I like kind of entertaining possibilities. But that's all that is. I don't take them very seriously. In fact, I have like I'm kind of an event coordinator for a library. That's one of my jobs. And for Halloween, I got a local guy who did the Weird Ohio to come in and tell local lore and legend, because they're just so fun to hear. But he goes around and he actually takes a look at the sensory and kind of tracks all of the newspapers, from back when, and tries to piece, could this possibly be true? And that's what makes it even more interesting, and but you always have to kind of laugh at it, because we don't know whether or not there's aliens out there. I would say, chances are likely somewhere out there's aliens. Whether they're ever going to make it to Earth and whether they would be compatible with, Earth's environment, with all of the factors, I would say maybe a lot less likely. Whether, and as far as our senses, like maybe there's a completely different thing going on. They could be microbial as far as we're concerned. Would we even be able to notice them? So, I mean, they could already be here, and maybe I'm going to create a conspiracy theory, because that's any, right? They've already landed, 1,000 years ago, and they're all over our skin now. And and they've formed, microbial colonies and on us. So there you go. And some of the viruses are them too. Can I prove that it's not true? Not necessarily, but it's fun, and I think it's the thing of science fiction. And I'm a huge science fiction fan,
yeah,
and fantasy fan, and it kind of goes hand in hand. But I kind of take that more as science fiction, more as the possibility of, ethically, or, just kind of like certain things, how we should watch out, maybe make better choices and things like that. But
you said you keep up with the fun. Local lore some in Ohio? Like, some...
Not yet. He's coming in Halloween. And so I haven't been keeping up with it necessarily, but I'm interested in it. Yeah. It's not something that I'm majorly into enough to just, be consuming it all the time. But I consider it to be something fun.
Yeah.
Weird Ohio? Is that what... I'm looking at it.
Oh, yeah. I think there's a series, kind of fill in the blank of the states, you know, and you'll have different authors writing, you know, the books and everything like that. So, yeah, Weird Ohio, the author's coming, and he's written a ton of paranormal books, and they're hilarious. So I think a lot of the patrons would get a huge kick out of that around Halloween. So
nice, very cool. Yeah,
I want to go.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you meant next to the thing. I know. Ohio trip. Definitely. No, I feel you on the fiction end. I love science fiction, and I love all that. I love thinking about what could be, and I think aliens in our future are more likely than aliens in our past, like, for whatever reason. Just because I feel like information tends to leak out. That's me. I feel like we'd have found evidence or something more likely, but maybe not. But I want to say, Neil Gaiman, you love Neil Gaiman, and so maybe you remember this quote, because I don't remember it exactly, but he has a quote, like, about why fantasy is so great, and he says, like, when you have great monsters, you have room for, like, great heroes, or something like that. Like, I just love that.
That is interesting.
It's not the exact quote. Like, I feel, you know, definitely don't have the SI, but it's something like that. Like, it's like multiple sentences, but it's a really great quote by Neil Gaiman.
And it's a rivalry with Neil Gaiman, by the way. No. and because when you say that, I kind of feel sorry for the monsters, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, the poor monsters. Kind of like the Mary Shelley Frankenstein's monster type of thing. I'm like, but poor monster.
Neil Gaiman.
Neil Gaiman. Okay, yeah, who wants to go?
Yeah, I'm kind of itching to know, like, more about what Julie was saying about your view on it. Like, how you're just like, wait, I forgot. Obviously, Sensory forgot the exact way you put it, but it seems to me that it's like, but you're just brushing it aside. Like, what do you mean? Can you tell us more about, like, how you feel about the conspiracies? Like you said, you know, for aliens, like, we would have had more evidence or something. Like, how do you explain or whatever how you think what happened? Or do you, like, or are you just like, just tell us more. I'm not asking very well.
I understand what
are you Scully or Moulder? Yeah, go ahead.
Exactly.
Yeah, on a spectrum.
I gotta put extra rolls on. I never watched all of it.
Now I'm trying to figure out which one I am. I'm like, I'm not either. Like, Scully is definitely, like, a lot of SI, right?
Yeah.
But I like that scale. I'm like, but I'm not Moulder. F, I'm somewhere. Where am I?
I'm like, you know, like the stoner version of Moulder and Scully, I guess, sort of.
Yeah.
Magda, Moulder really believed all the theories and tried to convince Scully all the time about the conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I know. And she was the ST.
Awesome.
Yeah. He was an F, she was a ST. Yeah.
Yeah, which one? If you want to talk about it, Julie, that is. I'm like forcing it on you. I'm like, explain yourself.
Oh, me? Oh, I thought you were asking Sasha. You're asking me?
Oh, I was curious because you had started to say it, and also I know on SI Lab you were starting to talk about that too. But like, say the pyramids or whatever.
I believe people built them. Like, it's like, right. You know, I believe technology gets lost. I believe so much information gets lost, like the Library of Alexandria. Like, if I could go back to any point in time, like, I'd want to go see the Library of Alexandria. And
that's cool.
Yeah, right? And just, like, have someone, I don't know, just be like, what's the missing information that we don't have? Like, you know, and like the Aztecs, like all this crazy stuff that they were building that were like, how? And I mean, a lot of people actually have posited theories about how the pyramids could have been built. And
It sounds like tools.
and part of it is a very demon thing. Like I said, it's like, I think that my friend, he's an ISTP because he gets really into the function of it, which is really fun because it's just, I love SE, and like especially masculine SE sometimes, how just, you know, they can just get into like, this is how things are built, and my husband can get like that, and I'm always like, wow.
Yeah.
Real world stuff moving around.
I know. You're actually taking a physical thing and doing that. Yeah, wow.
Exactly. but I think technology and information, I think it just like, it can come and go. There's like big changes in society, and like I said, it's like, but I am very open to the possibility that perhaps, like, it's like, I'm like, I just think the probability is small. I just feel like there's a small, very small probability that aliens have come here, because it's also like, well, what did they want? They wanted to come here and build pyramids. Like, why?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, right? Because you can get into like how humans couldn't have built them, but I'm like, why would an alien come and build the pyramids?
Yeah.
They would just come, and they would be coming for a resource, or like, right? It's like, or some other thing. It's like they would have, and maybe they did. Maybe they came and they got a resource, but what is that resource? What were they taking?
Yeah, like
It could be information too.
Yeah.
You know, maybe they were taking slaves. Maybe they took tons of people on their spaceships, and they trained us how to make pyramids here so we could go make pyramids for them elsewhere, and then they just forgot all about us. You know, I don't know. The NE, right? It's like, I'm like, there are all sorts of ideas. But in the end, I'm like, I feel like
there's still so much we don't know scientifically, and a lot of the theories that the scientists have are wrong, and they're constantly, you know, updating them, you know. And what we knew when we were kids is different now, you know. For example, you know, that fish have no memory. Well, they do have memory, you know. They found that out. Oops. Or dogs can only see in black and white. Well, it turns out that they found out that they can see at least, you know, that they're red-green colorblind, but they can see the rest of the colors, especially blue. You know, but they're not completely sure about that. We are just speculating based on, you know, what evidence that we have, and we go on and on. So we're finding things out, and what we say is fact is based on our senses, is based on our brains, is based on how we perceive things. And so, you know, our whole, you know, existence is kind of based on that.
So, I think
limited
that animals
amounts of information.
I think that animals have the cognitive functions. Do you guys think animals have the, like, I'm sorry, NE jump? Because people, exactly. Well, I feel like I'm with you. Always underestimate animals. And it's like, certainly they don't have hands and like as many ribs in their brain or whatever. Like, there's differences between us. But like, when I see animals, I like my German Shepherd, right? I'm just like, 3. She's a 3.
Yeah. Your German Shepherd's a 3. That's awesome. I love it.
On that one, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, that was a jump. Okay, Magda, what are your thoughts on?
Yeah, totally.
Sorry?
Oh, I said no. I totally agree. Go on.
Oh no, that's awesome. Did you want to say more on it?
Oh no, I've just typed 2 of my animals so far.
What are they? What are they? What are they?
Well, my dog, Norin, who he's an FE lead. And no, if I'm sad at all, he'll do like a kind of a wolf howl at me until I laugh. And he's a 4 because he says hello to everyone in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then my cat Anna Ang, she's a 3 for sure. She's an ISFP 3. Princess all to hell. She kind of beats me in that category, so that's fine. She's as cute as hell, so she can do that. She's as scared as I am, but as brave as I am. So, I know she's a 3, and she's got the flex. So
yeah. Yes.
anyway, go ahead, Magda. Sorry.
Love it. Okay, Magda, we haven't heard from you on conspiracy theories. And don't think I'm not coming back to you, Melanie. You kind of got out of it, but I'm coming back to you.
Oh. Okay, so I had a few thoughts when you were talking, and one I still remember is that because I don't know how pyramids were built, it doesn't mean it makes me anxious. So I'm not observer in this kind of situation that missing info makes me, but if I cannot find information, then it means something fearful. So I'm just, okay, I don't know. So I just move on. So that's basically with everything. So like pyramids, like I really don't know. I just, people built it and I just believe it. Like I won't check the information. I won't pursue the SI to be precisely know what happened then and find any gaps to disprove it, because I don't care really. So that's basically with everything when I'm thinking about it. But my mind like to like wonder, like what if something happens and like aliens be here or something. When I was a kid, it makes me more anxious because I didn't like my mind wasn't settled on the what really is. So I was afraid that there are aliens, let's say, that are collecting information about me, or are following me and looking at me when I can't see them. So it makes me like a lot of anxious. But I'm old enough to don't bother anymore, so that's okay. That I don't know if they are here and are watching me right now when I'm producing with all my thoughts to you. So like, hello, and that's it. I don't care anymore. Yeah. But I like to imagine what if they really are here and what they really want from us, like resources. If they would need resources, then we would notice it, maybe, because we don't know what resources might be in their interest. So maybe something that we don't, may not spot it, because we are not collecting data about everything. So who knows? Or maybe information like who we are, how we are operating. Because I'm imagining that I would be in that. And I'm imagining that those aliens are superior than us. So with technology and everything. So if I was that superior alien species and I would observe other civilization on other planet, then I would probably want to collect the data to know better what's going on. Like, the info, I like to collect info, and even more info that I need to be aware of the what is, let's say. And with that data, I can move the most optimal way. So, for example, that data may provide information about my species, my way of working, my mindset, and so on. Because, because I have in my mind, I have one video I was watching in Kurzgesagt channel. It's in a nutshell in English. and they were wondering that why we don't see aliens. Like, is it this low possibility when we have to like we have a lot of stars, and if those stars, at least some percent of them, have planets that are in this area of habitual zone, a green zone or something, where liquid water is in the liquid state, and so on and so on. So if we will have this all information, then we should have some, like there is a real number, let's say a real possibility that aliens should be present, but we didn't spot them. So why? So in that Kurzgesagt video I was watching, they were wondering that maybe we are one of the first civilization on that level, and we will be visiting others if we will manage, because there is always also another thing, like the great filter, that those filters are basically saying that if the civilization can manage with their own problems to survive further. Like, we had this Cold War, and we almost blew our planet, and so on and so on. So we some kind of filters we have to face in our future, in our path as a humanity, and if we will pass them, then we will have that possibility to grow as that superior civilization, and so on and so on and so on and so on. So it's a very interesting topic, actually, to think about, and I love especially the idea that was presented in the book that is called Three Body Problem, written by Chinese writer that I don't want to I don't know how to spell his name, so I won't.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, and that's trilogy, because there is three books that make a whole.
I want to read.
Oh, it's amazing! I love it. Like, I would actually read that book again. Like, I don't really like to reread again any books, but that one I would definitely read again. Like, it's written the way it's science fiction, but it's written the way that I would believe it may happen this way. It's that real, at least for my feminine sensory. And it's very different approach that I was used to, because I love science fiction, and this, like, it was entertaining a lot. Yeah. So I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I made that,
is that a UFO?
topic
Just
enough.
Kidding.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, and when I was thinking about conspiracy theories, I would say that the most popular way of thinking about it is like aliens, but actually I was I catch myself that actually I may think about conspiracy theories in terms of politics, like amount of missing information is yeah. So not observatory way of conspiracy theories, but decidery way. So people are
in charge.
Yeah. Yes, and they are deliberately and not saying us information to manipulate us. So, for example, I live in a place when we have war ongoing, and I really don't believe that, and this is my conspiracy, that anyone from the governors are really care about Ukrainians. Like, this is only playground for the power, how it's called, to showing off the power, who's more powerful and who will have more influence where. So everyone is like making
Are you
one
saying
country
that
very suffer.
Are you saying Polish governors don't care about Ukraine?
No,
What governors?
no, like everyone. Actually, everyone. No,
Including
no one care.
Then nobody outside of Ukraine cares about Ukraine. Is that what you're
Yeah.
saying? Okay.
Anyone outside.
Like, what's his name? What's the Ukrainian? What's the one guy? He's also number 2.
President. Yeah, Zelensky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he also doesn't care? We don't have to go into that. We don't have.
He may not. It's politics, so he may believe, but he may not actually do anything. Like really, like it doesn't matter because he cannot do anything. He's not in the power position. He may talk good, and that's okay, and that's what he's supposed to do. So that's okay. But I'm actually thinking about Russia and United States and let's say Europe. I will overgeneralize it. So those powers I'm thinking about, and they don't really care about people. They care about to have their own agenda meet, like their own interests, because no one wants to allow other side to win whatever, because we cannot, because we have some kind of like ideology or propaganda, so we cannot. But because of that impasse, people in Ukraine are suffering. So where is the good side of it? Maybe in the long term, when this country will solve their issues, let's say with what they have, maybe it will be like how to say it, like they have major issues with daily life, like they are afraid to go outside. And I know that we need to address that issue to have no aggression inside that country, and Russia is making it problematic. But on the other side, if we would let Russia to go inside, like was with the Crimea, this island, well, nothing bad happened to that people, right? They are not called Ukrainian anymore, and that's bad maybe for the identity, national identity, and for the language and so on. So it's not a perfect solution, I get it. But I'm also thinking that that there are no good solution actually.
I mean, the problem is we don't want to start World War III, right? I mean, I feel like if we could be like, Russia, chill, you know what I mean? If we could do that, like stop, then I feel like we would. But it's like we don't have that kind of relationship with Russia, right? It's like they would see us as an antagonist, and so that's always part of the problem from what I understand. I mean, because nobody here in the US likes watching what Russia is doing. That, you know what I mean? Like none of us.
Also, I feel like this is an area too, like I have Russian heritage too. I feel like none of us have all the information. Not that I'm like, yay, go them or anyone, but I think this is like where I can start, my mind can start like picking up on like what you're talking about, Magda, like this like people conspiracy theories or politics, because it's like I also am going, I don't know if we have any way of knowing, because like we can say like, oh, is the US for the big heroes, but like, I mean, are we? Who knows what we're doing anywhere?
Exactly. And that's
oh, I see.
Yes.
So
and that makes me anxious.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
But also like depending on who I'm talking to in my own personal life, I'm like, interesting. I hear different things from different people in my life. And I don't know if it's because part of my heritage is that, or nobody really knows.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, I mean, from what I've seen in my life, I could be wrong. The decisions are basically made by, economics, what we can get out of the war, and who has what type of weapon, and if they use that, what could happen. So those are basically the two things, like what is in that country, that we can use. How will it affect, will there be a ripple effect if we don't do anything? But
it's complex. Yeah.
I mean, so I'm hearing that the conspiracy theory is basically like nobody cares, and that's why we're not doing anything. The rest of the world isn't doing anything about Ukraine, and so there's a lot of hidden information as far as why this is still even going on, right? So yeah, that is confusing. Yeah, I know. According to I don't know a lot about it. I do know that they did send over a bunch of weapons. That's the only thing I know about it.
Yeah, but aid was given eventually. It took a long time.
It did take a long time.
Yeah. I remember I was watching and I'm like, come on, give at least a little aid. But there's so many moving.
Because there's so many complex, and then that's what I would be like, okay, what's the conspiracy here? Because why? And also, are we like saying Americans really like I was just starting on, but I can't make conclusions because I don't know. So, but then my mind starts jumping to all the other countries that are in this bad way as well. Like, do you care about your people? Well, I don't even want to start naming countries because there are so many, and then keep popping up, and you hear about it in the news every day. So that's the one that these are the conspiracies my mind starts. That's what basically my thoughts on it is, just like I start thinking about it, and then I'm like, how can I narrow down and come up with any information? So as a decider, I guess it's just like, I'm like, I don't know, I don't have the information, but we're going to keep going, and you make solutions in your day-to-day life and try to care about the people that are in your life, and that's all I can do.
So. I will say this, and I'm sorry, this is like one of those things where I kind of have the information, but it was like, this is from 10 years ago, so I don't remember the exact terms. But when I was in Poland, so I went with the dance group one year, and we traveled all throughout Poland. Yeah. And we went to a lot of small towns, and so many people in the small towns were like, why does America not like us? And I was like, excuse me? And they were like, and this is the term I forget, but there's some level of like, I almost want to just call it friendship, but it's like ability to get a visa and come over here easily and those kinds of things. There's like levels where different countries have different levels, and Poland was lower on the level. Like, and I'm so sorry, I don't remember what the term is, but I didn't know about it as like my privilege, like American privilege. I had no idea. But whenever I came back, I was like, okay, I'm going to try to find out what this is, because everyone was asking me. And, I was like, well, I'm not an ambassador, but I will go look into it to some degree. And I looked it up, and it's because of past tensions with Russia. Like, that I looked it up online and talked to some of my friends who, like, are in the political realm. And from what I understand, it's like, because of all that tension there, it's like trying to keep our own peace with Russia. And it's a really crappy thing, that's how it works. But it is just like, imagine Russia and America going to war again, and like how catastrophic that could be. It's like, we want to help. I want America to help, but it is like, from what little I looked into it, it's just that it's like this whole big thing of, well, if we escalate with them, then shit could really hit the fan, and that could really be hard for lots of people. And it sucks saying that, because like, definitely don't like watching at all what happens to Ukraine. It gets me so upset. But it's like it sucks that things have to be weighed in that sort of way. You know what I mean? That it can't just be like,
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
person's being bad, let's go stop them. Like, we can't just do that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not
Ugh.
that simple.
Ugh.
So what gets me is that missing information when we have like we didn't get the that level of visa, right, to be able to travel to United States because of some missing information, which is basically some agreement between US and Russia that Poland will not get that level of trust, let's say, in the visa. So that's
Flexers.
is politics,
Yeah.
and because it's vague and flowy, it's more feminine SI than my memory, and it's like making me anxious that I cannot follow it.
It's SF.
So
It's SF, right? It's the
like
SF realm. It's power, right? Yeah.
Okay, I was just joking that it's more flowy than what I'm trying to say. And so that with Ukrainian issue is exactly the same. We don't know many information that are just hidden from public, and some actions are made because of those agreements, and we may not understand the impact or the like. I don't see the whole picture, and that's actually making me anxious.
Yes.
I think I'm talking all the time about that thing with different examples. But yeah, it's basically with war, with Ukraine, with a visa for to go to States and everything. So politics gets me. So because of that missing information, so this conspiracy theory, right? So I will go back to that definition. So we don't have the information. I think it's hidden from public because of countries' interests, so government's interests, some people in the power interests, for their own, let's say their own good, not necessarily our good. So this is the bad influence that may come up. So I believe in this, let's say, conspiracy theory that politics is dirty. And I wish, like, I have in my mind, like, my beautiful ideal, any world where no one is lying, no one is making like have hidden agenda to get someone and make him suffer and so on. So but it's not how world is working. So I also have like no choice but to accept what is. So with the war I just hear what's happening, and if there are some kind of actions as an aid to Ukrainian, like in my work or in my surroundings, I take a part in it. I also noticed that there in my area where I'm living, there are a lot of Ukrainian people that are speaking Ukraine language. I know Russian, so that's why I can like hear, oh, it sounds like Russian but not. So we have like a lot. I have neighbors right now that are Ukrainian. It wasn't like that before war. So yeah, so it like the reality gets me, and I wish that something was done with it, like to make people ease the suffer they have. And my husband is Russian, so part of his family lives in Russia, part of his family is living in Ukraine. So I heard their stories, and it's heartbreaking actually. So like I wish that war was ended and Ukraine could start to rebuild themselves, to start start to think that live may be normal again. So it's like, I'm not objective here, but just I would wish it was mitigated sooner and not have those, hidden agendas and so on. But
all the information will come out like 20 years after it's over, right? It's like that's what it seems like. It's like the information comes out, but later.
And maybe not all of it. Like, do you remember, maybe you remember, we had a class with Hermione. She's, oh my God, how is it called? Emma Watson?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't see that one.
Yeah, okay. So she
Hermione, right?
Hermione, yeah. So she graduate in England, I think, in Great Britain, some history stuff, and then she moved to United States and did another something related to history. And she said that the professor was saying something that was entirely different, like different facts.
Right.
He presented it very differently, and she was like, "What the fuck?" And she was looking at the audience, the people in the inside, and everyone were listening, like, okay, and she was like, no, it's false, it wasn't like that. So regarding those facts that will come up in 20 years, we may not know the entire truth. It may be covered with propaganda, like my country have own propaganda, and it also gets me, but this is how it works, unfortunately.
And that's the F
so my
side.
kid will go to school, and
that's the experiential side, right? It's like, because you can have 10 people experience the same thing and you can have 10 different stories, right? It's because our experience impacts what we see and how we translate the information. So we have the
10 witnesses that say the same thing a different way. Mm-hmm. It will be recorded by historian, right? But then what was really happened, we may not know, like, the whole picture with whole information. We will have that, like, a limited amount, and we need to, like, come up with something what happened. Same with archaeology. Like, we have only some we can find in sand some things, but what was it? We don't know. Like with the bones of a T-Rex, right?
Oh my God, didn't you send the one with the T-Rex with a wig on or something?
Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't remember that.
So maybe T-Rex had the feathers or something, but in the Spielberg film, he like T-Rex is presented more scary way. So, we don't know what happened, how things look like, and that's the part of our, like, life. And I wish we had that information. Sometimes it just gets me, like, the war. English is hard. you know.
You're doing a great job. An amazing job. And by the way, Julie, that was a really positive way of looking at it, saying, well, you have 10 different perspectives rather than, well, the power is trying to control the masses.
I know. I know that I just think there's both. I think that there is bad people are hiding the bad things that they're doing, clearly. But I also think...
love how you... Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Sure. Yeah. No, go ahead, Sasha.
I love how you did that. Because there is both. Absolutely. And sometimes I get bogged down into the whole, why would they do that? Oh, well, the power is trying to control the masses, and maybe that is a very thrifty thing to think, or I don't know, but the way that you just put that was, the whole elephant thing. There's one person that can feel the trunk of the elephant and so forth, and so the elephant looks like a snake and everything like that.
No, wait, I don't know that analogy. Can you say that analogy? I don't know.
Oh, yeah, there's I guess there are these blind people, and there's about 10 different blind people or whatever, and they're asked to describe this elephant, and one has is feeling the leg, and oh, the elephant is, you know, like a tree trunk, and you know, so forth. So they're all describing the elephant as something different. The elephant's a snake. The elephant is this, that, and the other thing. So, and that's just is what it reminded me when you said that. Like, well, they presented the facts like this, and I keep forgetting that. You know, everybody has their own perspective. There's not the truth. There are many truths a lot of the time. So,
thank you.
Anyway, I still want to hear what Melanie's perspective is.
I don't know. I think, well, when you just said the many truths thing, it feels like to me I've always been like, like the actual truth. Like I made a video about this 100 years ago about like in Buddhism, there's this phrase, I'm going to butcher it, I think, Paramartha Satya. I don't even know if they still use it, but it means the ultimate truth, as opposed to, I don't remember there's one that means relative truth. It's like a principle of Buddhism or whatever. And then Paramartha Satya. And I used to like write it in my notebooks, and like, it's like almost like you write your crush's name, because to me, like, and I'm not like, I don't follow really Buddhism. I'm interested in like learning about all the different spiritualities of the world or whatever. But like, I was obsessed with that, because I'm going, in this situation, well, there's everybody's different truth, but like the ultimate one to me, and so I guess that's my truth, so it's not the ultimate, but whatever. My mind is throwing this around like a ping pong ball. It's like, well, what, like, conspiracies, especially the one we were just talking about. All these people are suffering. We don't fucking know what's actually happening unless we are the person involved. So it's like the ultimate truth, the Paramartha Satya, or if it's still a thing, is like, to me, is just like the truth is in the middle. Like everybody is everybody's just a person. Like, we're all just people. So we have to, and this is such a fucking decider thing. I think this is like such a fucking like my personal thing, but it's such an INTP thing. Like, our type of like, we have to take care of the people. And I said it before, like, it's just like the biggest truth, the ultimate truth is we're not going to know. Everybody has a different perspective. Everybody's seeing it from their own angle, and we're all just people. So I guess that's the ultimate truth. We're all just people, so we have to do the best we can. Like, I don't know. Is that even talking about what we're talking about? Let me think. That was my
jive with it, whatever it
blast,
is.
I guess. And it's just like conspiracies. Like, I think earlier Sasha said something about like, are aliens already here? Are they microorganisms? I can be on board with that. So I'm going, one part of my mind is like, maybe that sounds perfectly logical. Did the people who created pyramids, did they just use fucking tools, and maybe we just don't know about it? Like Magda's saying, like, maybe we just don't know. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Observers, like, calm your shit down. Like,
you know, like, I think he probably was an observer. I thought he had decider problems. I think he had flex problems. I think he was lead NI. Sorry, please continue.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's just like, yeah, we all have our own perspective, and we're like, but how? But like, I'm going, I mean, it could be all these things. And it's like, I'm not particularly threatened by the unknown information of conspiracies, whether aliens are already here, whether they're coming. And then especially like if they're going to be like the ones in like all the scary movies of like, oh my God, they're going to kill us. Then like, then too, like, what are we going to fucking do? Like, we're going to do the best we can. Maybe my NE will be like, guess what? I can turn this into a weapon so I can defend myself. Like, I just am thinking of like, what can I do in the moment? Like, we don't know until we actually fucking know any of this. It doesn't.
Do that. Sorry.
What did I do? Like,
no, like, how can I turn this into a weapon? I always do that. Sorry, go ahead.
But like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know if that's just because I'm already like, you know, in my, like, everybody's against me in the tribe, like me versus the tribe at all times. But it's like, if the aliens go bad, like, I don't know, we can try to use our like sharp minds and try to make it work out. I see how the observer can be concerned with preparing ahead of time. You see a lot of these like American fucking sorry, it's so inappropriate, but like the ones who are like stockpiling in their basement, like y'all better, like sorry. Some people, it's good to be prepared.
Chris Pratt has like 6 duffel bags prepared in his garage. I like to watch the home edit. That's the only reason I know that.
No, I mean, but that's interesting to know, because like if I was sitting there like talking to Chris Pratt, like we could, like I'd be like, all right, well, like tell me about that. Like I see where it's great to be prepared in case of emergency. So like, I have some backup toilet paper. Like I don't know if I was out there during COVID buying like all the thing, like 100 packs of toilet paper, but it's like, yeah, there's something good to being prepared. We should. So that's like, I don't know, like everything's in the middle. Like I'm not bothered by missing information. I don't think we're going to necessarily be harmed. And if we are, like, being prepared is good, but we don't have to take it to an extreme. I don't know. It seems like a kind of not super great way of answering it. But
Are you the most action oriented of us? Okay, can I try to bring it to socials? Are you the most action oriented in the moment of us? Is that what you're kind of relating to?
I think so.
Yeah.
And I'm also going, I feel like everything and everybody can be reasoned with. I'm thinking of like aliens. Like it's like, all right, well, let's try to be buds. Like we can connect with these other biological creatures. If not, then action. Then okay, we tried, bro. Now we're gonna fucking fight. So that's like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's but it's like our type to a T. Like it's like at feminine FE with the aliens. What's up, guys? Cool eyeballs or whatever. And then like they're like, nah, we're taking you hostage. I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm
nah, B.
Like, I'm trying to like do something else, but like we fight. Like, it's just like, yeah, I'm pretty much like, I'm going, okay, like, yeah, I'm like thinking on my feet, I guess, always. Yeah. But like see what happens and find, I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's something else. It's hard. I don't know if it's the sleep last thing of like being unprocessed, but I'm just going like when it arrives, you handle it.
That I think that is also our OE. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit of all of like, yeah, because I jive a lot with what you're saying, because you're also like, well, let's do something about it, and that's like our decider nature, right? Like, yeah, it's and the politics aspect too. It's just more like I feel for all these people who are in a bad way. Like right now in America, like I almost feel like guilty because we're ignorant. Like, and I know I personally could be looking into the news more, but I don't, because I'm going, how do I know it's even what's true anyway? Yeah, I have.
And then like so it's like when I see people in front of me or in my city where I live, I try to like do the thing, get involved with the programs or whatever things that I can see has an actual impact. So I'm going, okay, I'm like, what's the word? Transmuting or something, my guilt and my shit into action. So yeah, with conspiracies, I try to decide or do something with the missing information, like turn it into, okay, what's the problem here? What can I do about it?
What would the action be? No, I'm with you. One of my favorite things to think about historically, I think not so much anymore, especially now that I live back in Tucson, is like zombies. Like what would happen if there were zombies? Like when I lived in California, I like very demon FE. I felt like there were so many people everywhere. Like it always kind of stressed me out a little bit. There was a lot that was great about California, but I was just like, you can keep driving that way and there's just tons and tons of people, like in every, like you could go east to the desert and
yes, I did that. So it's like good to have, you're going, okay, if I was stuck, what could I do? Actually, that's a really good point. I feel like I do that too. Like you're like, okay, because OE, like I feel like please don't control me, or like, in my experience, I'm like, I don't want to be stuck somewhere, like that's scary. So I would think of the ways out too, like exits are here, like
I always do that. Always look for the exits when I get to a new place.
Yeah. Actually, therapists, I feel like I've talked about this before, maybe not here, but therapists do that. They're not supposed to block the door because you need to be able to know you're free to leave. Like, so if they're sitting in front of the door, that's like bad practice for a therapist, because you need to be able to, like, you need to see the exit is, you're free to go. I wonder if that's like some OE, like, doctor made that up or whatever.
I feel like too, our Eddie Effie sees that. Like my husband, like with our toddler, sometimes he can't see things like that. Like our toddler, sometimes it can be hard to transition between like, I'm taking care of you instead of my husband right now. And like my husband got up to go to the door and then was standing and like, and then the toddler our son kind of freaked out, and my husband kept standing there, and I was like, it's like you're just bringing this like intense blocking feeling to it. Yeah, and my husband just doesn't see that stuff, but also he has NF last. So I don't know if it's like the NEFE of it, or that he also has NF last because he has NIFI, but it's so lots of things. But there is something where exactly I see that kind of stuff with my toddler and I forget. I'm like, oh, my husband just doesn't see that, right? My husband's able to teach my toddler how to do all sorts of crazy things with tools that I could not do, and I can just see the weird emotional like you're blocking the door, and that feels like an emotional blockage to our toddler.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, sorry.
I don't know how we got here, but
sorry. I know, I'm sorry. I'm like, let me just carry it further.
No. I feel like I don't know if I like really talked about conspiracy. Like I feel like I'm like skipped off onto something else or whatever, but like
I think that was along the lines you were talking about working with the aliens, right? That was one of the last.
Like
Sasha?
Work with the missing info type of thing.
Yeah, you feel like you try to see the whole elephant, I guess. Like
yeah.
If I don't, then try to get more info on how best to proceed, I guess.
Jim Parsons talked, wasn't it him? He said he watched all of the different news channels.
Yes.
And exactly, like if I were more responsible, maybe it's because he has more sleep. If I really wanted to know politics, that is like exactly what I would do, because everyone lies a little bit. Like I get so upset because I'll find that somebody's stretching out the information to get, a little bit more, and it is really upsetting. And I'm just like, I do see that. I'm like, you did that on purpose. Come on.
Yes. That is so grating to our TIs. Like, that is so grating. It's just, can we just be straight and talk about the facts so that we can get from A to B? Like, can we just, cut this, nonsense? Like, it's so in the way. And I know a lot of people think they need to cushion things or whatever, and you can, but let's get to it. Let's get the information so that we can deal with it. Let's try to have some integrity here.
Yeah. Like consider the source. I don't know who came up with that quote, but that's always like a thing. Like it's like, okay, you're saying this, but like, what are your motives? Like, I don't know. I feel like all of you are saying that in your.
What's your scam?
Yeah, that comes back to Magda's thing. I feel like. Yeah.
What are you getting at, bro? You trying to tell me?
Well, I do feel like, that could be a really good place to conclude it. I feel like we each had a lot to say, and as always, I feel like we have a lot of similarities, but there are differences. I feel like, Melanie, I always point yours out, and I feel like it's just because for some reason I maybe see it a little more easily. I was looking for it in everyone, and I feel like I'll find it in everyone later, but maybe because you're like third for me, maybe there's something about it.
Well, something about like, if our alleged social types are real, blah, blah, blah. Like, I feel like I do often find like something in everybody's arguments or whatever, but I often like, maybe the friends thing, has something to do with it, because it's like often about like the people, and I always can pick that up on yours too.
I see that. That's awesome. Feel free to interrupt me. Like, I'm the interrupting cow. Hijack your feet. Feel free to do it to me too.
No, I like how you do that, because I feel like I always go off on like all these different thoughts and then like have to like bring it back, like depending on whatever anybody is saying. So
thank you.
I like that you actually say it.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it. Anybody else have any last thoughts?
Oh, I'm the interrupting cow too, so I moved.
Perfect. Magda, you good?
Yeah.
Any last thoughts? Okay, well then we will close with... Wait, Sasha, you have to say the pickup line. What was it? I forget what it was.
No, I'm too traumatized from last time. Let's sleep on it.
There you go. Let's sleep on it.